Today, we'll explore the beginning of life, the creation of mankind, the garden, the forbidden fruit, and the origins of sin and death.
Let's continue with Jubilees chapter 3, 17 to 35. And after the completion of the 7 years, which he had completed there, 7 years exactly, and in the 2nd month, on the 17th day of the month, the serpent came and approached the woman, and the serpent said to the woman,
Hath God commanded you, saying, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And she said to it, Of all the fruit of the trees of the garden God hath said unto us, Eat. But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden God hath said unto us, Ye shall not eat thereof, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die, for God doth know that on the day ye shall eat thereof, your eyes will be opened, and ye will be as gods, and ye will know good and evil. And the woman saw the tree, that it was agreeable and pleasant to the eye, and that its fruit was good for food, and she took thereof and eat. Note, I'd like to clarify an important point about the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil. Many people have been taught that the fruit was an apple, but according to Enoch 31:2-5, it says otherwise. It reads, 2. From there, I travelled above the summits of those mountains, eastward, and went over the Erythraean Sea. After going far beyond it, I passed above the angel Zatiel and arrived at the Garden of Righteousness. In this garden, I saw many large trees, which flourished there. 3. Their fragrance was pleasant and strong, and their appearance was both varied and beautiful. The tree of knowledge was also present, and anyone who eats from it becomes endowed with great wisdom. 4. The tree resembled a species of tamarind, bearing fruit that looked like fine grapes. Its fragrance extended for a great distance. I exclaimed, How beautiful is this tree, and how delightful its appearance. 5. Then holy Raphael, an angel who was with me, answered and said, This is the tree of knowledge, from which your ancient father and mother ate. They gained knowledge, their eyes were opened, and they realized they were naked, so they were expelled from the garden. Let's continue. And when she had first covered her shame with fig leaves, she gave thereof to Adam, and he ate, and his eyes were opened, and he saw that he was naked. And he took fig leaves and sewed them together, and made an apron for himself, and covered his shame. And God cursed the serpent, and was wroth with it forever. And he was wroth with the woman, because she hearkened to the voice of the serpent, and did eat. And he said unto her, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy pains. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy return shall be unto thy husband, and he will rule over thee. And to Adam also he said, Because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee that thou shouldst not eat thereof, cursed be the ground for thy sake. Thorns and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat thy bread in the sweat of thy face, till thou returnest to the earth from whence thou wast taken. For earth thou art, and unto earth shalt thou return. Note, my last point is that death entered mankind after Adam and Eve ate from the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. As a result, Adam lived only 930 years, and from that moment on, every being that came from Adam and Eve, including every living thing on earth, would experience death. However, there were only 2 individuals who did not experience physical death, Enoch and Elijah. Enoch, as mentioned in Genesis, walked with God and was taken by God without seeing death. Elijah, in the book of 2 Kings, was taken alive in a chariot of fire. I believe that these 2 will be the 2 witnesses mentioned in Revelation, who will come again, die, and then be resurrected. Revelation 11:3, which says, I will appoint my 2 witnesses, and they will prophesy for 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. This brings us to the Messiah, who is the son of Adam, often referred to as the second Adam. He came to die for our sins and to take the keys of death, ensuring that we too can be resurrected when he returns. Even the Messiah himself had to die and be resurrected, fulfilling his purpose for mankind. And he made for them coats of skin, and clothed them, and sent them forth from the Garden of Eden. And on that day on which Adam went forth from the garden, he offered as a sweet savour an offering, frankincense, galbanum, and stacte, and spices in the morning with the rising of the sun from the day when he covered his shame. Note, I want to highlight two important points. First point. Once Adam and Eve's eyes were opened, they realized they were naked. To cover their shame, God made coats of animal skin for them. This is why only mankind covers their nakedness, not the animals. It became a law for mankind to cover their nakedness, as seen in the following examples. Genesis 9:20-27. The reason Ham's son was cursed was because Ham did not cover Noah's nakedness. Exodus 20:23. God told Moses, "Do not ascend my altar by steps, that your nakedness may not be exposed upon it." The Torah clearly teaches that we should always cover our nakedness. Other references include Isaiah 47 verse 2-3, among others. It is built into us to desire covering our nakedness, and it's a natural inclination to avoid exposing ourselves. Second point, the practice of burnt offerings and sacrifices started with Adam and continued through the generations, but ceased after the children of Israel were scattered across the earth. However, it will resume once the Messiah returns to reign on earth. Isaiah 66:20-23 says, 20. And they shall bring all your brethren for an offering unto the Lord out of all nations, upon horses, and in chariots, and in litters, and upon mules, and upon swift beasts, to my holy mountain Jerusalem, saith the Lord, as the children of Israel bring an offering in a clean vessel into the house of the Lord. 21. And I will also take of them for priests, and for Levites, saith the Lord. 22. For as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, saith the Lord, so shall your seed and your name remain. 23. And it shall come to pass, that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Lord. As the verse indicates, the feast of the new moon and the Sabbaths will continue, along with the offerings and sacrifices when the Messiah returns. And on that day was closed the mouth of all beasts, and of cattle, and of birds, and of whatever walks, and of whatever moves, so that they could no longer speak, for they had all spoken one with another, with one lip and with one tongue. Note, many of us are amazed when we hear of animals speaking or uttering words, but it's important to recognize that animals were once able to speak and communicate with Adam and Eve. This is why the serpent was able to convince Eve to eat the forbidden fruit. However, after Adam and Eve were expelled from the garden, the ability of animals to speak ceased. That said, there are still instances in history where animals have uttered a few words. For example, in Numbers 22:28, we see the story of Balaam's donkey speaking. In the book of Jasher, chapter 43, verse 41-47, it is recorded that Jacob spoke to a beast, and the beast responded, saying, 41. And Jacob took the beast from the hands of his sons, and he cried out with a loud and weeping voice, holding the beast in his hand, and he spoke with a bitter heart unto the beast. Why didst thou devour my son Joseph? And how didst thou have no fear of the God of the earth, or of my trouble for my son Joseph? 42. And thou didst devour my son for naught, because he committed no violence, and didst thereby render me culpable on his account. Therefore God will require him that is persecuted. And the Lord opened the mouth of the beast, in order to comfort Jacob with its words. And it answered Jacob and spoke these words unto him. 44. As God liveth, who created us in the earth, and as thy soul liveth, my Lord, I did not see thy son, neither did I tear him to pieces. But from a distant land I also came to seek my son, who went from me this day, and I know not whether he be living or dead. 45. And I came this day into the field to seek my son, and your sons found me, and seized me, and increased my grief, and have this day brought me before thee, and I have now spoken all my words to thee. And now therefore, O Son of Man, I am in thy hands, and do unto me this day as it may seem good in thy sight. But by the life of God who created me, I did not see thy son, nor did I tear him to pieces, neither has the flesh of man entered my mouth all the days of my life. 47. And when Jacob heard the words of the beast, he was greatly astonished, and sent forth the beast from his hand, and she went her way. So if you ever hear an animal speak, don't be too surprised. Let's continue. And he sent out of the Garden of Eden all flesh that was in the Garden of Eden, and all flesh was scattered according to its kinds, and according to its types unto the places which had been created for them. And to Adam alone did he give the wherewithal to cover his shame of all the beasts and cattle. On this account it is prescribed on the heavenly tablets, as touching all those who know the judgment of the law, that they should cover their shame, and should not uncover themselves, as the Gentiles uncover themselves. And on the new moon of the 4th month, Adam and his wife went forth from the Garden of Eden, and they dwelt in the land of Eldah, in the land of their creation. And Adam called the name of his wife Eve, and they had no son till the first Jubilee, 8 a.m. And after this he knew her. Now he tilled the land as he had been instructed in the Garden of Eden. Ecclesiastes 12:13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. That will conclude our lesson in